Lucian is sitting at the bar, sipping a glass of red wine. He calls over to the bartender.
Yo! Is there actually any blood in this wine?
The man turns to him with a huge, overly extended smile and black eyes.
You want blood? I'll give you blood!
He cackles with manic laughter. The walls begin pouring red into the room. Lucian tries to wade through it, but it reaches the ceiling. He sputters and spits, gasping for breath as the crimson takes him, and he finds himself slumped in an old chair within his room.
Sweet dreams,
he smiles to himself. Vague white light from the clouded sky pours into Donnie's room. He stretches out his limbs and opens his eyes. Blossom's face appears upside down from atop his shell. "Morning," he sings. The turtle croaks disapprovingly and slowly retracts back into his shell. He flings out a spoon.
Fetch.
The metal tinks as it ricochets off surfaces and flies out of the room and down the stairs. Blossom giggles, chasing after it. The spoon slides under a table in the tavern. The pink one picks it up with glee and puts it inside his cloak.
Hey, that was a 5 silver,
the barman yelps.
Blossom take nothing,
he rapidly retorts.
Nice try. You built yourself quite a tub. You gonna pay me or what?
The barman folds his arms and lowers his brow. Blossom mimics his gesture and glares at him, until the keeper pulls out a wooden bat from under the bar.
Okay, Blossom pay.
The masked one groans and reluctantly hands over a gold coin. The innkeeper contemplates demanding more, but decides against pushing his luck.
Paid in full, lad.
The rest of the party enter the bar and Ismark is sat by the fireplace eating some bread. He waves them over. "Morning, friends. Are you ready to travel? I really need to get back to Ireena." "In that case, sir, lead the way." Damon respectfully lowers his head slightly. Ismark stands and brushes breadcrumbs off his clothes before confidently striding outside. He leads the party down a long road opposite the tavern. As they make their way, they can hear wailing in the distance. The cries increase in volume as they approach. Robed in rags next to a rundown house is a sobbing middle-aged woman.
"Gertie, where are you? Please come home."
She suddenly spots Ismark and rushes towards him, clinging to his clothes.
"Ismark the Lesser, you have to help me."
"What is it now, Mad Mary? I'm a busy man." He peels her fingers from his fine attire.
"It's me daughter. She's been missing since yesterday,"
she desperately states, falling to her knees. "Mary, Gertrude is a grown woman. Perhaps she's out foraging for mushrooms or something. No need to worry." Ismark continues to walk at pace. Mary howls to the grey skies and grabs at Blossom's cloak.
"Please, have you seen her?"
What look like?" The woman scrambles to her feet and rushes inside her boarded-up home and brings back a charcoal sketch of a young woman.
"She's all I got. You have to find her."
Mary waits impatiently as Blossom inspects the drawing. Blossom take. If find, bring back, okay?" He folds the picture and puts it into his cloak.
"Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you."
Mary clings to Blossom's cloak.
"I don't have much, but you can have whatever you want. Just bring my Gertie home safe."
Blossom leans closer to Mary. "You have spoon?" The party reaches a formerly grand mansion, but its windows are coated with wooden planks, and the door is guarded by a twisted wrought iron gate. Ismark bangs the door 3 times, pauses, and knocks once more. He then unlocks the reinforced door, inviting the group inside. Damon scowls at the idea of entering another house within this village.
"Can't be as bad as the last one."
Aru shrugs, and the party walks through the threshold. "I suppose you're right," Damon growls as he cautiously steps onto the porch. He can see the wooden boards used to defend the house are layered with scratch and claw marks, which he determines were made by large wolves, bears, bats, and even some humans. "You were not joking about being a target. It seems the whole forest was out to get you." Damon warily walks inside. The house is dim, and there is a pungent aroma, a mix of garlic and decay.
Delicious,"
Donnie inhales, fanning the smell into his nostrils.
"What's cooking?"
Ismark ignores his question and leads them into a disorganized office. Holy symbols litter the walls. Garlic cloves hang over the window and door frames. Damon recognizes some of the emblems as wards of protection. He smirks to Ismark. Studious and cautious. I'm impressed.
Oh, this is Ireena, always reading Father's old tomes.
Ismark glances around the room, noticing more symbols than yesterday.
She thinks they will protect us.
My home is quite similar. Damon wanders the room. A large writing desk covered in books, scrolls and papers. A huge painting of the late Burgermeister with his family looming above an elegantly carved fireplace. Tall bookcases with various empty shelves as most of the books are scattered in piles on the floor. Ismark calls out,
Ireena, we have guests!
While exiting the study to make his way upstairs. Donnie takes this opportunity to find the kitchen, only to be met with empty counters and bare cupboards. Worry sinks in.
Vampires,
he whispers. He desperately grabs a holy symbol off the wall in the office and charges at Ismark at the top of the stairs, pushing the metal sigil against his leg. Nothing happens. Ismark looks down at Donnie with an amused half-smile.
Oh, very good thinking, friend,
he jovially responds. Donnie embarrassedly chuckles.
Just making sure, could never be too careful. To be honest, I should have done the same,
Ismark considers in hindsight.
Brother, what's going on?
A soft voice calls out, and a door creaks open at the foot of the stairs. The unmistakable scent of death fills the hallway.
What are you doing down here? It's far too dangerous. What if they break in?
Ismark pushes past Donnie and places his hand on Ireena's shoulders.
I was talking to Father.
She begins nervously fiddling with a button on her shirt.
You know how lonely he gets.
Ismark lowers his forehead against Ireena's and sighs.
Just need to be careful. I'm very glad you're all right.
He lets go and gestures his hand towards the party.
I met some adventurers. They will help escort us to Vallaki.
Vallaki, you're finally settled on a destination.
Ireena flicks her eyes between her brother and the guests. Damon steps forward, lowering his hat and offering his hand.
Good morning, miss. Damon Creed, investigator of sorts. And these are my friends.
He turns to face the band of misfits, and his smile sours slightly. He looks back at Ireena.
These are my travelling companions.
He corrects himself. Ireena sweetly smiles and takes Damon's hand gently.
Charmed. Ireena Kolyana. Please, make yourselves at home.
Damon replaces his hat.
It would seem your home has been the victim of various sieges.
True. Strahd is relentless in his torment.
She flicks her eyes towards Ismark to ask a wordless question. He gives a consenting nod, and she pulls down her collar, to reveal a bite mark on her neck.
He sets all manner of atrocities to harass me.
Damon takes a step back.
Whoa, all right.
He forces a cough to calm his nerves.
Forgive me. It has been a while since I've seen a wound like that. How did it get inside with all the wards and boards guarding this place?
The detective gestures to the symbols lining the walls.
It was so stupid. A few days ago I noticed the boards on one of the windows were loose. No one was home, so I went outside to fix it myself, and was attacked by a woman. I'm not sure who she was. Never seen her before or since.
She embarrassingly hides her neck.
I was with Father Donovich that evening, arranging the funeral, so we are not entirely sure what happened.
Ismark looks puzzled.
First I feared it was one of the townfolk that attacked her, but then I saw that.
He miserably sighs, staring at Ireena.
Wait, the townies? What would they go after a Burgermeister's daughter?
Ains ponders out loud.
They fear her. On rare occasions, those with these bites come to the village and slaughter families while they sleep. They are the foul thralls of Strahd that I spoke of. It has become known as the mark of the devil, and the reason we board our homes and refuse to walk the streets at night. But unlike others, for some reason Ireena seems to remain of sound mind.
Ismark gives a sly eye towards his sister.
Could you describe the woman that attacked you?
Damon pulls out his sketchbook.
She was finely dressed, with cold dead eyes and purple hair. If I recall correctly, she wore a golden crown.
Ireena looks up in thought.
Right. When exactly are you wanting to leave for Vallaki?
Damon questions whilst writing notes.
I would recommend sooner rather than later. I believe you were attacked by a vampire, and they usually do not leave survivors.
so staying here is increasing the risk of its return. Donny raises his claws in victory. I knew it!
A vampire. That actually makes sense.
Ireena worryingly stares at Ismark. We cannot leave just yet. We have to bury father first. Ismark pleads. Of course, he deserves a good burial. Damon bows slightly out of respect. You have our condolences. Ireena bows her head as well.
Thank you.
She solemnly responds. If there's anything we can do, we will be of service. Damon stands upright and turns back to the group. He widens his eyes and purses his lips, as to silently say, be nice. Aru stomps forward and tilts her head to avoid knocking a low-hanging light fixture.
Happy to help.
She compromisingly groans. We got you back. Ains gives a confirming nod. Totally, Donny purrs.
We'll help.
Blossom sweetly grins. Lucian huffs and folds his arms. He catches Damon staring at him.
Me too, I suppose.
The warlock rolls his eyes. The detective proudly faces back to Ismark and Ireena with a confident smile.
We do appreciate it.
Ireena twiddles the button on her shirt. May I pay my respects? Damon quickly removes his hat again and directs his eyes towards the room Ireena emerged from.
Of course. Thank you.
She shows him inside the living room. Blossom openly and bluntly asks,
So, how'd that die?
Well, according to the priest, his heart just stopped. I think the stress was too great for one man to bear. Ismark shakes his head at the sorrowful situation. Did a vampire get him? Donny perturbingly asks. No. Strahd's minions didn't turn up until after my father's death. Almost to the day, in fact. Ismark wanders off into his thoughts. What do they want with her? Donny curiously presses. To do their master's bidding, Ismark exclaims. Strahd has had a strange and downright unsettling obsession with Ireena ever since he met her. He frequently contacted father asking for an audience, but being the protective sort, father found 1,001 excuses to decline. He, ever come to the house? Donny gulps and fearfully stares towards the front door. Well, no, he often sends his awful servant, who insistently keeps inviting us to the castle. But since Ireena rarely leaves the house for fear of gathering an angry villager mob, we can't just go even if we wanted. I need to ensure her safety. Ismark straightened his back, expressing his dutiful pride.
What servant?
Aru questions firmly. He goes by Rahadin. My father said he has been with Strahd as long as he can remember. You can't miss him. He has a rather obvious curse. Ismark raises an eyebrow. Oh, speaking of curses, Ains interjects. What do you know about that Durst Manor? That old place? Well, it stood there for over 100 years. Kind of a landmark for the town, I suppose. Why? Ismark scrunches his face. Nothing really. Just wondering if anyone ever went inside. Ains squints curiously. Goodness, no. It's haunted. Only those with feeble minds are convinced by the obvious ghost children. Ismark lightly chuckles. Donny and Ains bashfully look at one another. In the living room, towards one corner, is a glossy black coffin with decorated silver handles. The lid is open, and lying in a nest of white lilies is the body of the former Burgermeister. Damon cautiously looks back at Ireena before secretly inspecting the body for wounds. Finding none, he inhales sharply to start a sigh of relief, before realizing the bloated corpse has created an air pocket containing the strong stench of pollen-infused rot. Damon backs away.
It's never easy.
Ireena pats a chair, inviting Damon to sit.
But you seem to be accustomed to the sight of coffins.
Damon gives a light chuckle and sits down. When you grow up in a dying land, I guess it becomes the norm. He nods knowingly.
So are all lands the same as Barovia, defined by death?
Ireena asks with intrigue and slight sadness. Oh no, I'm just unfortunate to have parents who prefer to live harsh yet exciting lives in the Dreadlands, rather than settling for cozy, boring existence elsewhere. Damon amusingly shrugs.
Some may call it boring, others may call it safe. The idea of waking up without fear of being hunted sounds pretty exciting to me.
Ireena softly laughs. Damon smiles in retort, and they simultaneously look over to the coffin. So you talk to him. What does he say? Damon flicks his eyes back to Ireena. She nervously wiggles a button on her shirt and looks down at the floor.
He's sorry for leaving us. Wishes he was stronger or braver. That he is with the morning lord, witnessing blue skies above the clouds.
Ireena starts to cry and Damon puts his hand on her shoulder.
Father said that after Mother died, he felt like he was missing a piece of his soul. Darkness was all consuming. But then he found me in the orphanage. He said I still managed to smile despite my predicament, and I reminded him there will always be a new sunrise.
Ireena softly sobs on Damon's shoulder.
I hope I find my light soon.
Her eyelashes glisten with tears. Hope is a matter of faith. The dead are never truly gone. They are with us. They give us strength in times of weakness, will in times of pain, and courage in times of fear. We live to honor them. We live because they can't. Damon wipes a tear from Ireena's cheek and smiles. Back in the hallway, Ains approaches Ismark. Anything we could do for the funeral? Need a flower girl or something? Donnie nuzzles up against Ains. That's a wedding, you melt. Ains begrudgingly whacks Donnie on the shell. Sorry about my mate, he's not exactly worldly. Ismark impatiently purses his lips. Quite all right. I work with people who have never left the village. Where's he going to be buried then? Ains continues, nursing his knuckles. The Church of the Morning Lord in town. My father was an avid worshipper. Ismark gestures towards the carved symbol of a rising sun over the front door. He and Ireena bonded in their faith. As for myself, I have seen too much to believe this land has a caring god. But it indeed has a devil. Ismark scowls.
My mentor always said, we fight for glory, not for gods.
Aru firmly states. Wise words to think on. Ismark nods and turns his head towards the living room upon hearing footsteps. Damon and Ireena enter back into the hallway.
It seems you have found the right people, brother.
Ireena smiles brightly. Oh, it is good to see you smile again. Ismark loosens his stern expression.
You may stay here if you like. If you need any supplies, I'm sure there are plenty of things around here. Father was a collector of sorts.
Ireena tells the group with a hint of excitement in her voice. So, where's the food? Donnie wiggles his claws. Ireena gives a beckoning finger and leads him into the kitchen. Behind a sliding door disguised as a wall, jars of preserved food reveal themselves. Donnie gasps. Ew, any salad? He looks up expectantly.
My father did have a vegetable patch in the back garden.
Ireena shrugs.
Maybe you'll find something.
Donnie happily waddles outdoors and finds a soaked patch of mud with evenly spaced plants. Wilted lettuce, half-rotten cabbage, and thin wild carrots. The turtle disappointedly sighs and begins collecting as many edible vegetables as he can. He notices a mist softly swirl around his ankle. He quickly turns in realization, and in the distance, he can see figures climbing through the fog.